The Woodcutter and the River. Long ago, in a quiet village surrounded by tall forests and flowing rivers, there lived a poor but hard-working woodcutter. This village was small, so small that everyone knew everyone. There were no tall buildings, no noisy machines, only mud houses, dusty footpaths, and the sound of birds greeting the morning sun. The woodcutter lived at the edge of the village, in a tiny hut made of clay and wood. He had no gold, no silver, and no land of his own. But he had something far more important. He had honesty, and he had his axe. That axe was not just a tool, it was his livelihood. It was how he fed himself, how he paid for food, and how he survived each day. Every morning before sunrise, the woodcutter would wake up, say a short prayer, pick up his axe, and walk deep into the forest. And this is the story of the day everything changed. The daily life of the woodcutter. The woodcutter's life followed the same simple routine every day. At dawn, he would tie his worn sandals, sling his axe over his shoulder, and head into the forest while the world was still quiet. The forest was his workplace. Tall trees stretched toward the sky, leaves whispered in the wind, and the sound of insects filled the air. He would choose trees carefully, never cutting young ones, never harming more than he needed. Each strike of his axe echoed, "Tack, tack, tack." By midday, his hands would ache, his clothes would be soaked with sweat, but he never complained, because he believed something deeply. Honest work brings honest reward. After cutting enough firewood, he would tie the logs together, carry them back to the village, and sell them at the market. Some days he earned little, some days he earned just enough, but he always slept peacefully. The river beside the forest. Near the forest flowed a wide, beautiful river. The villagers called it the River of Life because it watered their farms and quenched their thirst. The river was calm in some places, but deep and powerful in others. Its water sparkled under the sun, and fish could be seen swimming below the surface. The woodcutter often rested near this river. He would sit on a rock, wash his face, drink some water, and thank nature for another day. But on one unforgettable afternoon, the river would test him in a way he never imagined. The accident. One day after hours of hard work, the woodcutter walked toward the river to rest. He sat near the edge, leaning forward to wash his hands. Suddenly, slip! His foot slid on a wet stone. Before he could react, splash! His axe slipped from his hands and fell straight into the deep river. The woodcutter froze. He stared at the water. The axe was gone, swept away by the current. For a moment, his heart stopped. That axe was everything he owned. Without it, he could not work. Without work, he could not eat. Tears filled his eyes. He sat down by the riverbank, covering his face with his hands. "Oh no," he whispered. "What will I do now?" The woodcutter's despair. The sun began to set, painting the sky orange and gold. But the woodcutter remained seated. He did not shout. He did not curse the river. He only cried quietly. "I worked so hard. That axe was my only tool." The river flowed silently, as if listening. The wind slowed. The forest grew quiet. And then, something extraordinary happened. The river spirit appears from the middle of the river. A bright light began to glow. The water shimmered, and slowly, a mystical spirit rose from the river. The woodcutter gasped. The spirit's voice was calm and powerful. "Why are you crying, woodcutter?" With fear and respect, the woodcutter stood and bowed. "My axe fell into the river," he said. "I have lost my only means of living." The spirit disappeared beneath the water and returned holding a golden axe, shining brightly. "Is this your axe?" the spirit asked. The woodcutter shook his head. "No," he replied honestly. "That is not mine." Again, the spirit vanished and returned holding a silver axe. "Is this your axe?" The woodcutter looked at it carefully, then shook his head again. "No," he said. "My axe was simple and made of iron." The test of honesty. For the third time, the spirit went into the river. When she returned, she held a rusty iron axe. The woodcutter's face lit up. "Yes," he cried. "That is my axe." The spirit smiled. "You are truly honest," she said. "Because you spoke the truth, you shall be rewarded." She handed him all 3 axes, the gold, the silver, and his iron one. The reward and lesson. 3 minutes. The woodcutter fell to his knees. "Thank you," he said humbly. He returned to the village, and his life changed forever. But he never forgot the lesson. Honesty may seem difficult, but it always brings the greatest reward. Closing moral. So remember this story whenever life tests you. When you have the chance to lie, choose truth, because honesty is a treasure more valuable than gold or silver. The end.